Hi everyone, this is the last discussion post, and I'm super excited about this one that we're ending with resilience and post-traumatic growth, which is PTG. So I want to touch on a research that was done with 6 young women that were war soldiers. They were child soldiers in Colombia. They lived in complete war zones. Sexism was present, violence was normalized, and death was inevitable. This is what they killed, and some of them actually killed people for a living. So this is what these 6 women went into, and it was a program to try to integrate them back into civilian life. And what they seen was these young women didn't develop PTSD like people thought they would. They developed something called PTG, which is post-traumatic growth. After the young women looked back at their experiences, they were able to symbolize them into awareness. And person-centered theory, which is PCT, talks about how all organisms are innate to grow. Like, we want to grow through our trials and tribulations, and that's also the symbolism behind the lotus flower. How the lotus flower, it has to grow in mucky waters, but once it rises out of the waters, it's one of the most beautiful flowers in the world despite its environment. So the lotus flower is also symbolism for resilience and post-traumatic growth. And listen to this. Some of the women had a degree of maturity, openness, and increased congruence, something that they did not have before they entered the armed groups. This reflects growth and reintegration of the self. So this is what these women experienced after living in complete war zones and actually being child soldiers. So what is PTG, post-traumatic growth? Post-traumatic growth accounts for positive psychological changes following traumatic life experiences or highly challenging life circumstances. Instead of returning to an initial state, PTG describes how trauma can be a springboard to fully functioning psychological states. This movement towards becoming fully functional can be considered growth. So what happened with these young women were, despite their circumstances and their trials and tribulations, they were able to look back, reflect, become more aware of their experiences, and grow from it. And this is something that we all have innate in us. And also, I love how the book talks about turning your pain into passion. And it's something that one of the TED Talks mentioned, was having a sense of purpose helps create resilience. So we're going back to that word purpose and its meaning behind life. And I want to talk about how the first TED Talk, it says resilience is what we use to adapt to negative changes. And of course, there's a difference between positive change and negative change. So when we have a negative change, we can use resilience to overcome the trials and tribulations that we have been through. And I love that they talk about knowing the power that we have innate within us. And like person-centered theory talks about, all organisms are innate and have something inherent in us that we want to grow, right? We want to grow. We don't want to be stagnant. So I love this post. And I also want to talk about how pain to purpose, that hits for me, because through my nonprofit organization, Cuff Foundation, through experiencing gun violence, in my family and super close, I was able to turn that pain into purpose and form my nonprofit organization to try to combat the self-violence that we see within the Black community, right? So it's important for us to not let our trauma become our identities, right? Or our character. We should learn to grow and learn from our trauma as well. So I love this, and I'm glad that we ended it with this, especially in crisis counseling. With so much crisis and so much trauma in the world, this is something positive that can bloom, like the lotus flower, right? That can bloom from traumatic and crisis experiences. Is there something else I want to touch on? Oh, and I love that PTG tends to have a domino effect. So post-traumatic growth, when somebody grows from their experiences, it's like it rubs off on other people, and they're able to grow from their experiences as well. So I love the idea of post-traumatic growth, and that's something that I push with my teachings as well. So yeah, I love to end it like this. I hope everyone has a good holiday and a good rest of the program, and love and light. Cheers.